The National Prosecuting Authority says investigations against a social media influencer accused of impersonating a doctor will continue. Yesterday, charges against Matthew Lani were dropped after his arrest at Helen Joseph Hospital on Sunday evening. The 27-year-old's lawyer now argues that his social media content was merely for entertainment purposes, despite Matthew Lani himself on his social media pages insisting on several occasions that he is, in fact, qualified as a doctor. Let's unpack the story further. We're joined this morning by legal analyst Abigail Ngobeni. It's great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on. So the NPA says it is still investigating, but for now, lying does not constitute a criminal offence. What are the charges that could possibly stick insofar as Matthew Lani is concerned?
Good morning to you, Michelle, and good morning to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika, and I'm grateful that you have me this morning. When we look at this particular matter of Matthew Lani, you'll remember that the Health Profession Council, the Health Professions Act, does criminalize any actions of a person who purports or who portrays himself or herself as a qualified medical practitioner, calling himself a doctor or doing any other thing which would, in the main, be misleading to the public or to anybody who is, of course, attentive to that kind of an portray. And such kind of an activities, if you do them without being registered with the Health Professions Council of South Africa, HPCSA, such is deemed to be a criminal offence and punishable on conviction. So they are serious from what I have seen and what I have noted through the social media content that was posted. There are serious violation of that particular act, which we can see at the later stage being pursued and, of course, brought into the court of law.
Well, Matthew Lani's attorney, Dumisani Mabunda, now says that his client actually never consulted any patients, said he'd never been paid for any services rendered as a doctor. If we take that explanation on the one hand, Abigail, and then on the other hand, what security personnel at Helen Joseph Hospital, for example, have said, that Matthew Lani entered the facility wearing a stethoscope. He apparently had antiretrovirals in his possession, and he was seen visiting patients in a particular ward. How do these two parts of the story come together?
Michelle, thank you for that question. I think you'll remember that we also have common law crimes such as fraud and uttering. And if you check the definition of a fraud, you will note that it talks about anybody who misrepresents himself with an intention to prejudice or a potential prejudice. It does not necessarily have to be a prejudice that is suffered, but where there's a potential prejudice and a potential harm to other people, that can also be punishable. Another side to the story will also be to deal with an unlawful entry, which previously we used to call a trespassing. I'm not so sure to what extent has he entered into places which seem to be only staff members authorized to enter, and to what extent has he been exposed to confidential information. You remember that in public facilities, particularly the health facilities, we deal with sensitive confidential documents and information pertaining to the medical history of patients, and a disclosure of such kind of information should be done through the act and a consent of patients. So I'm not so sure to what extent we will have to look at what the police will be coming up with in terms of investigating the matter to prove to what extent was he involved. But from where I'm sitting, if the investigations can be done thoroughly, given what we see on social media and what he had said under the page of the Gauteng provincial government, the health department of Gauteng, where they were somehow commemorating a June month, and he was saying he's a medical doctor, he's qualified, he was advising on what is it to be a medical doctor who's here. So all those things, I think if we can have a thorough investigation, we would in the future be able to secure a conviction against this young man.
So are you surprised, Abigail, that he was released from custody. Given everything that you've just said to us this morning, what the Health Professions Act says, possible charges of fraud, unlawful entry, as you say, or trespassing, accessing confidential medical information of patients, which is a really high possibility.
We have a history as a country which is very worrisome of having effecting arrests prematurely. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of cases which were thrown out of it, not because there is no prima facie case against the person, but because investigations were not done thoroughly. And when you hear the comments of the National Prosecuting Authority, you will learn that they say they still also want to get access to the docket, the Tembisa docket, and also do some further investigation, and which poses a question to say, why arrest earlier if you have not done the investigations thoroughly? And I'm saying, if we can have this matter investigated thoroughly, we have all the complainants giving their statements, and this matter be presented in court with enough evidence. Remember that the NPA bears the onus in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act to prove the matter that they bring to court beyond reasonable doubt. And when they arrest prematurely without evidence, it will be as if the law is not effective while there is an error or there is an incomplete investigation on the side of SAPS. I should believe that if they can go to the drawing board and investigate this matter, take statements of the gentleman called Zingelwa or Songelwa, if I'm not mistaken, the one who is an intern and whom we are told that this guy is impersonating and taking his confidential information and purport to be his. If we can get statement from all these concerned people, also the officials at the Helen Joseph where he was arrested, to get to the extent of his involvement, I reasonably believe that we can secure a conviction against this young man.
And of course, there's also the issue of the profession itself, right? What this does to legitimate medical professionals and their reputations. Abigail Nguberi, let me thank you for your time this morning. Legal analyst joining us there on this still developing story.